What's up, guys? It's Techno Viking 23 coming to you today with just another one of my little Friday ramble sessions where I kind of just talk about gaming and general stuff that's going on with the channel and going on with me. No old school gaming Friday this week either, unfortunately. I just haven't had much time to devote to that series here recently, as real life events have kind of taken precedence over some other things going on, but still like to do a video on Friday, just kind of, let you guys know what's going on with me, what's going on with the channel, and just things in general. First thing today, it's funny, I woke up this morning and looked at the calendar, and I was like, it's September 11th, and it kind of snuck up on us here. If you live in the United States, that date should have some significance. If you're around my age or a little bit older maybe, or a little younger even, of course that's the day that the World Trade Centers were attacked in New York City. Very fateful day, about 14 years ago actually, and it's very interesting. I still remember it like it was yesterday. I'm not from New York or didn't live in the area, but I was in college at the time, and I just remember it was just weird. I had a morning class that I went to that morning, and it just I went to a fairly large college which had over 40,000 people, and it was just felt really weird because that morning the entire campus was just empty, and a lot of people just weren't around, and I went to my morning class, and there were like only like 5 people there out of normal like 40. We actually had a test that morning, and I took the test, and the teacher didn't mention anything. I was walking back through the student union on the way back to my dorm because I had another class about 3 hours later, and was just gonna go get some breakfast and get my usual routine, which was just to sit down and watch some TV and do some other things while I was waiting for my next class. And when I got back, again, I noticed the same thing. It was just eerily quiet on campus on a normally very kind of loud and boisterous campus, especially walking through the student union area where, everybody usually congregated. And I got back in my room, and I kind of threw my books down and just kind of nonchalantly flipped on the TV and was flipping channels and stopped and went to go use the restroom. And then I came back and kept flipping channels, and I noticed that on every single TV channel there was a picture of this burning building. And at first I didn't pay attention to it. I was kind of oblivious. I'm like, why is this on every channel? And then I literally, as I flipped channels, the second plane hit the World Trade Center, like live on, I think it was CNN at the time. And I just kind of stared at the TV like, what the hell just happened? What did I just see? And then, of course, it all started to sink in. It all kind of just hit me right there. And I mean, it was like, I was just absolutely stunned that something like this happened. And I wasn't, like I said, not very close to New York. I was several hours away from that area. But actually, where I went to school, we were very close to where Flight 93 went down. So there was like a no-fly zone in place over our area. There were fighter planes flying around and everything. It was pretty crazy. So that day was just, I remember, never forget that day. It was very interesting, and just to just witness all that. And I actually ended up going to my afternoon class, and it was because they didn't cancel classes or anything. And at the time, I was still in college and wanted to make sure I was getting my classwork done and everything. And it was another large class. I believe it was my psychology class, and there was usually about 100 people in it. And there were only about 5 or 6 of us that showed up. And our teacher was like, just let this be kind of a lesson. You guys see how many people this affects, even though it may not affect you directly, but you can see now around you, all your classmates that aren't here, you can see how many people are actually affected by this just in this very small situation. So it was just a very, very kind of crazy day, and then, just almost surreal watching all that unfold. And I think I was glued to the TV almost all day, and of course the next day, and then of course we obviously had all the fallout and aftermath and everything, which I'm not going to get into all the political stuff and the military stuff and all that, because that's not really anything I want to get into. But yeah, so just kind of a somber, it's always an interesting day every year, because for me it was something that I actually lived through in my early 20s, so it's something I remember very well. A lot of you guys might be too young, you might not remember it, you might not even been alive when it happened. But yeah, so very interesting. And like I said, we were fairly close to where Flight 93 went down, which was, of course, on its way to hit somewhere in the capital. But yeah, wow, just what a day that was. But anyways, moving on to more positive things. So I just wanted to do that because, we always, I do remember that day and like to bring attention to it. But moving on to let's talk about some positive things, some more happy things, which actually, unfortunately, there aren't a lot of those to talk about right now with me personally. Just if you guys have been paying attention to my videos lately, about my job situation. It's not looking real good. We've been talking about having to possibly move. Well, a lot of that came to a head this week. I actually did get a job interview on Tuesday of this week. I got a phone call like 8:30 in the morning, which was just kind of out of the blue, and they were like, can you come in this afternoon? We talked to you, and it's a local energy company that was actually looking for people to do what I do, and so I got all super excited about it. I was like, oh shit, this is great. I might actually have an opportunity to stay here and get back to doing what I was doing. And it's at a good time because it's still early in September, and like I've said a couple times, my rent is taken care of through the end of this month. But in order to make sure I can stay here, I kind of need to get another paycheck by the end of the month. Unfortunately, I've been out of work since July, so money is very tight right now. There's not a whole lot of financial rope left for me, which is why I kind of have to make the end of this month my cutoff when I get out of here. And I was thinking, okay, if I get this job and start early enough, I can get another paycheck before the end of the month, and I can extend my stay here a little bit, and hopefully it'll be a long-term situation. So, like I said, very excited. Went in, talked to them. We were talking about everything, and they actually made me a job offer before I left. So that was really kind of cool. It was for pretty decent salary, what I was used to making. But then the guy hit me with the kind of the bombshell, and that was, well, we can't actually pay you for 60 days. So that was a bit of a problem. And unfortunately, the way this company works is that with their contract system, they don't actually pay you for 60 days. And your pay is also based on whether or not the client pays them first. And the way this kind of works is how it's always been for me is I do work on a contract basis. I work for what's called a broker who gets work from a client who's usually one of the major energy companies. So the client puts in a work order and then they give me the job to do. I go do it. Most of the time, there's never been a problem. We get paid within 2 weeks every time. Some companies I've had to wait like a month, but this 60 days, 2 months, I've never heard of that. This is just, I guess, something that this company does. And also then it being contingent upon the other people paying them first. So I went home and told the guy to think about it. I needed some time to think about it because I've always already basically in the mindset that I was leaving. I'm moving. I'm already packing and things. I'm already making plans to get out of here. And I went home and thought about it. And I was doing the math, and it's like I wouldn't actually get a paycheck till Thanksgiving, so that'd be 2 more months. And at that point, it wouldn't even be guaranteed because, like I said, a lot of times if the client hasn't paid, they're not gonna pay me. So I just was like, unfortunately, I called the guy the next day and said I'd love to take this offer. I need work, and I'd love to stay up here and keep doing what I'm doing, but I can't wait 2 months. I just can't do it. There's just no way. That would put me in a huge financial bind in terms of just rent and everything else. There's all kinds of bills. Unfortunate part of being an adult is there are real life bills and consequences and things you have to take care of. So I unfortunately did have to turn it down, and now we're pretty much in full blown preparing to move mode. Because unless something like happens here in the next 3 or 4 days, like where I get an offer where I can get a paycheck by the end of September, have to get out of here. So we're kind of in full steam ahead mode on preparing the move, and that's where my other bad news comes in this week. Hit another hurdle with that, but 5 years ago, I actually moved up here from Atlanta, and I had rented at the time. I was storing all of my dad's stuff from his house. He had this big house in Atlanta. He had sold it and moved to Arkansas, and then moved back up to Pennsylvania. And I had basically all the furniture from his house. I had rented a 3-bedroom apartment, and 2 of the bedrooms were just packed full of all his stuff because he wasn't down there to move. He had moved away before the house sold, and I had to take care of all that. But so I rented a 27-foot U-Haul truck. I loaded the whole thing myself with the help of one friend, and then I had a car trailer on the back with my car, and I drove that whole mess all the way up to Pennsylvania. It took me about 15 hours. It was in the middle of wintertime. It was through the mountains of West Virginia in the snow. It was not very enjoyable. And I decided at that time I could never be a truck driver because it was just going down those mountain roads with the trailer on the back with the wind blowing 30 miles an hour, and you can't go over like 55 when those trucks they get really unstable, and it was just scary. But when I did that, it was only about $500 actually to rent the U-Haul and the trailer and all this stuff together and come up. So it wasn't very expensive to move. If you can move yourself, normally it is it's very cost effective. You can save a lot of money. However, when I called U-Haul this week to talk about getting I only need like a 12 to 15 foot truck now because I'm just moving the apartment, 2-bedroom apartment. We don't have a whole lot of stuff here, so Not going to be a very difficult move. I could get the truck loaded in a day and get out of here and make the drive down, and everything would be all fine and dandy. The guy quoted me $1,800, and I literally like was silent on the phone, and I said, "Wait, you're kidding me, right?" I said, "Hold on a second, let me." I was like, "No, you mean like 800, right?" And that's not 1,800. It can't be 1,800. He goes, "No, it's 1,800." He's like, "If you want the 12 foot, it'd be 1,786." And I'm like, "Are you insane? Are you out of your mind?" I said, "When I moved up here before, and you know, we recently moved my family to Arkansas from here, which was about an 18-hour trip with a 27-foot U-Haul. That was only about $600." And so I told the guy, I said, "That's crazy." I said, "I can't. That's almost $2,000. I'd be better off hiring a moving company." I'm like, "That's ridiculous." So then I hung up with him and I called Penske Trucks, and they were the same. They wanted like 1750, and I was just like, "What is going on here? Like, this is crazy." I'm like, when I moved up here, when we moved a couple, my family a few years ago, it was only $500 or $600 for a shorter trip. And so I've actually done some research, and I figured out apparently there is a racket that these, U-Haul and these other companies do, in that whenever there's a very high demand for their product, they really jack up their rates big time. So what's happened in this area is, I've mentioned a few times, is the energy sector has completely just flopped, and there was a big what we call a gas boom here, that's been going on here for the last 7-8 years, and it was great times for the last 4 years before this year. Everybody was making money. There were tons of jobs, and where I live is, I live just outside of Pittsburgh, which, it's not really a big city. They like to think it is, but it's not really a big city. But it's a steel town. It's an old steel town. And what happened was, back like in the 80s, a lot of the industry left, of course, when all went overseas, and they just fell on very hard economic times. So the area was not very developed. And then, of course, they had the gas boom, and all these big-time oil and gas companies have come in, and they've made their headquarter buildings right in this area. And they're pumping a whole lot of money into the area with their drilling and all the other stuff, creating all the kinds of jobs. And as a side effect of that, all these little local businesses spring up, and all these other, the local economy has really done very well here for the last 5 years, and they're really developing a lot of things. And unfortunately, what's happened is the bottom has just completely fallen off here in the last couple of months. So a lot of the people that are here are from like Texas and Oklahoma and other states. They moved here for work. They moved here with the oil and gas sector. They are now all basically mass exodus. They're all leaving. They're going to Colorado, North Dakota. That's where a lot of the work is. Even Texas a little bit. So everybody is pretty much moving. Like the apartment complex I live at, it was like full 2 weeks ago, and now it's almost empty. I mean, a lot of people are just out of here. And it was a lot of Texas plates in the parking lot. And they're all gone. Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, they've all left. So there's a lot of demand right now for the trucks, for the moving supplies and things like that. So U-Haul is basically trying to make a quick buck off of it. And like I said, I can't afford to pay $1,800 for a moving truck right now. That is just absolutely ridiculous. So I have a couple options. I'm actually meeting with a friend later today. I'm gonna try to talk to him. His father-in-law actually has a 2-ton pickup with about a 15-foot enclosed trailer that we'd be able to get a bunch of stuff in, and I'm gonna try to see if I can either get him or him and his father-in-law to follow me down with that. I don't want to have to make a friend help me, but it would be, this is a friend of mine I've known for about 15 years, and, was best man at his wedding. He'd be the best man at mine. We're like brothers pretty much. So I've helped him out with a lot of stuff at this point, and it'd be great if he could help me, but if not, I understand. But if that doesn't work out, what we're going to wind up having to do is just ferry the furniture down in our cars, and probably have to make 3 or 4 trips back and forth from here to Georgia, which would not be enjoyable, but you have to do what you have to do. And in terms of the gas money and the cost, it would be like a fraction of the $1,800. So we're going to just have to maybe do that. We'll see what happens. But I'll probably know that by the end of the weekend, and then that's going to, of course, affect what I can do on YouTube for the next few weeks, because if I'm going to having to be making two runs down to Georgia every week, I think we can probably get all our stuff in about 4 runs. That'd be 4 round trips to Georgia, which would be about 4,800 miles over the span of the next 3 weeks, so 2 to 3 weeks. So not terrible, but would prefer not having to do that. But we'll see what happens. Sometimes life just gives you a bunch of crap, and you have to just get through it somehow. This happened more often than not, unfortunately, but that's just real life. And we'll do what we have to do to get down to where we have a place to live and with a roof over our head. And continue on and try to get some work. So thankfully the job prospects down in Georgia, they look really good right now. I've actually had a lot of contact this week with some of my old people down there, and been putting out a lot of resumes and getting the word out there. So I think won't have a lot of problems finding something to do when I get down there. And like I said, most important thing is just having a place to live where you don't have to worry about anything. So I got some family down there. It's going to help me out. So that's kind of the situation regarding moving. At this point, it's about 95% certain we're going to go. Like I said, unless something comes up in the next 3 or 4 days here, there's just no way I can keep staying up here. So that's what we'll be faced with. And of course, if that happens, like I said, I'll probably have to, the YouTube production may slow down for a couple weeks while I get everything moved and of course get settled in down there. But I'm going to try to make a few videos in advance so I can just kind of upload those as I go. But I guess let's move on to some gaming stuff since we've already covered. That's pretty much all the real life stuff right now. It's just not real. It's not real, real sunshine and rainbows. But moving on to the gaming stuff here. I was planning on doing a little bit more stuff with Destiny this week. Obviously, we got patch 2.0 on Tuesday. We got Taken King coming out on next Tuesday. But I got to be honest, I'm just not feeling it right now. This whole patch thing, you can watch my video I put out earlier in the week about how I was pretty disappointed with what they've done with this patch. And I can already see where they're hiding the grind with this next update, this next expansion. I'm actually going to do a video on that where I'm going to talk about how Taken King really isn't going to change much in terms of how this game plays. I can already see it like sort of in the background here, how it's working. So plus there's just been there's been people spamming patch 2.0 stuff all week. I'm so tired kind of seeing these videos. It's like everybody's got like 18 videos up of the same exact thing, and everyone's telling you how to do all the content early and how to get the side quest done and all this other stuff. And it's like, I kind of miss the days of Nintendo Power when it was like you had no idea how to play a game, and it's like you kind of had to figure it out on your own. Now it's like everything's on YouTube within a week, and it's like there's no point to even play through the content. It's just not even there, because you know how to do it, and everybody just flocks to these videos to find out how to do stuff easily. And I don't know, guys. I'm just just not feeling Destiny right now. And quite honestly, after what I've seen with this new patch and the updates and the things I already see with Taken King that are going to be coming, I actually did watch the new strike that's exclusive to the PlayStation 4. I think it's called the Restorative Mind or Echo Chamber or something like that. I watched that on IGN the other day. It's like they had a 24-minute kind of video that just doing that whole new strike, and it's essentially going back through the Campus 9 Gate Lord area. It's like the same formula they've used a million times. You go through an area of the game that you've already played through probably 3 or 4 times doing campaign missions on Venus. It's reusing the exact same area where the Gate Lord is. It's just like off to the left side of where the Gate Lord platform is. They've got a little area where you go into a new area, but it's very small and it's just the boss chamber. But other than that, you spend like 3/4 of the strike playing through the same identical area you've already played through. And it just continues to amaze me how they manage to take the vanilla content and just keep on stretching it out. They still, even with going into year 2, they're still rehashing and recycling content. It's just amazing how they do that. And of course, nobody seems to care, but whatever. But yeah, I watched that stream and I was just like, after seeing the Shield Brothers strike reveal, I'm just like, nothing has changed. It's the same old thing again. You're going to wind up doing this crap over and over and over. It's going to be the same grind. So I'm really just kind of almost done, even talking about Destiny. So, and next week, like I said, if I don't see something amazingly incredible about the Taken King, I'm not going to be picking it up, and that'll probably be it for Destiny. Because from what I've seen so far, you're going to be capped at level 34 if you don't buy Taken King, so there's going to be no point to play it. It's going to be like right now with patch 2.0. There's like literally nothing to do with this patch right now this week except play the new PvP stuff, which I think is what Bungie wants you to do. I think they want you to be focused on PvP because they're trying to get people to play PvP a lot more in this game and increase that population. But if you don't want to try the new PvP modes this week, which and I will say Rift is kind of fun. If you guys haven't tried Rift, definitely give it a try. I was going to do a video on it, but like I said, I'm just not feeling Destiny right now. But if you talk about the PvE side of things right now, there was the Gunsmith test, which was pretty cool, but there's just nothing to do. You can only run a level 20 strike playlist with no rewards. There's just really no point. This whole week, there's like no point to even play the game, unless you wanted to just preview the PvP stuff, which from looking at those maps, there's really nothing there. And PvP patch 2.0 did not do a whole lot to change PvP, regardless of what you're going to hear from all the fanboys. PvP has not changed much. It's still ruled by shotguns. Thorn is still being used quite a bit. The auto rifle's got a little bit better at close range, but it's still going to be the same old thing. So, not missing much there. Moving on, let's see, what other gaming stuff is there? Still working on my Mass Effect solos, the Silver Solo Guide. That's what I'm going to be probably trying to work on this weekend, so I can actually have a couple videos to upload if I have to be moving next week and the week after. And I actually was considering picking up the Mega Man Legacy Collection, which they just released, I think, in August, on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And the problem is for me right now, I really just cannot afford to spend money on anything that's not essential. That's the other thing about not having work and being out of a job since July. $20 might not seem like much for a lot of people, and I always hear people, "Oh, the DLC's cheap," or they always use that argument, but you just never know. And $20 doesn't seem like a lot to pick up the Mega Man collection, and I'd really love to get that because those games were a huge part of my childhood, and I'd really love to play through those again and experience those. But at the same time, right now we're trying not to spend any money at all because obviously we're going to have moving expenses. We're going to have, gasoline, and if we might have to pay our friends if they come help us out. $20 can actually go a long way. A lot of people don't realize this, but you can buy enough groceries for a week to make dinner every night, or it's a tank of gas for some people. There's just $20 can go a long way if you stretch it out. There's a lot of different ways, and that's one of the things whenever I'm going through periods of time where I'm unemployed, you kind of have to go into this survival mode where you really got to pinch pennies and make sure you get the most out of your money because obviously you don't know when your next paycheck's going to be there. So, that's just something. And I don't like to dip into my savings too much, so I become very, very cheap when I'm not working. So I may still try to pick that up. I don't know. We'll see if we can work something out. Maybe I'll pick that up, that Legacy Collection. I'd love to play through the Mega Man games and actually show that on YouTube because, like I said, Nintendo, I grew up on the NES, one of the main systems I played. Loved Mega Man 1. I didn't play that as much. I kind of got into the series of Mega Man 2. And Mega Man 2, 3, and 4, absolutely love those games. They're kind of simple, but they're also challenging in a way, the platforming and all that stuff. And also, some of the best music that's ever been done in video games was some of the music done in the Mega Man games. So it'd be kind of cool to play through that series. And in college, I actually had a kid in our in our dorm who would get bootleg games from some website he was on from like overseas, and I remember at the time when I was in college, like Sega Dreamcast was kind of popular, which, yeah, wow, I'm old. But he had actually acquired a CD-ROM where they had put an emulator on it with every single Nintendo game ever made, and you could play it in your Dreamcast, and it had a save state on it, so you could actually play all the old games, Legend of Zelda, Tetris, Mario, whatever you wanted to play, and it had actually all of the Mega Mans on it, including the Japanese ones. So we actually were able to play like Mega Man. I think it was 1 through 8. And that was pretty awesome. Of course, I actually missed out on the one for Super Nintendo, which is a bit of a surprise since I was a huge Super Nintendo fan, but I never actually played Mega Man X, unfortunately. But yeah, I'd love to. I may pick up that collection and play that on YouTube and just do a playthrough because I'd love to share Mega Man, one of my old, very fond childhood gaming memories. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I'm working on. We're kind of waiting for, obviously, Halo 5 to come out. That's going to be, I think, probably my next big game on here if I wind up getting that, if it has pretty solid reviews and things. And, of course, No Man's Sky, if we ever get a freaking release date, which I'm really starting to get worried about that game because they're just not, they're being almost too quiet about it. I know they don't want to give out a whole lot of details, but usually when there's no news, it sometimes can be bad news, and I think it's getting to the point where it's like we just like to hear a little bit, just give us something, give us a tidbit, give us a new trailer, give us a new gameplay feature, just tell us something, I don't know, but that game is obviously what I'm very excited about. I know some people are not; they think it's going to be kind of boring, but I think that kind of game is going to be right up my alley. So we'll see when that comes out. I think that's pretty much it for gaming right now. Like I said, I'm going to have to be packing up a lot of stuff here, so I'm having to make some decisions about what systems are going to get packed and moved first and what I'm going to keep out. Thankfully, I do have my travel system for one. I can use my Xbox 360 on that, so that way I can at least have some games with me when I'm moving, and if I have to stay in the hotel or anything on the trip, I've got one of those. It's a 17-inch actually HD screen, and you just plug in your your console to it, and you can play it on the road. It's pretty sweet. You can take it to the airport and things too. So at least have some way of playing games still if I have to. But like I said, probably if we wind up moving, and especially if I have to do the 4 round trips myself, we're going to be a little limited on content for the next few weeks. So I'm just kind of giving you guys a heads up in case you don't see too many videos from me. I think I actually probably put out too many videos as it is, anyways. Each week, should probably try to get on a schedule or something. I don't know. It's kind of hard when you're doing this as a hobby on the side and real life gets in the way all the time. But we'll see. Anyways, that's about it, guys. Let me know, what you guys are up to, what games you guys are playing right now, if there's anything out there. I know Metal Gear Solid 5, I think it was something everybody was trying out. I actually, never got into Metal Gear after the NES game. That's how old, I'm just old. And that's still, people say Metal Gear, I remember Metal Gear on Nintendo. And I'm like, I've seen some of the previews for this Metal Gear, and I'm looking at it like, I don't recognize half this stuff. I don't know who any of these characters are. I don't know. So I'd have to go all the way back, I think probably to like PlayStation 1 maybe, to pick back up on the Metal Gear series. I don't know. And that's way too many games to catch back up on. So that's really not something that's on my radar right now, but I know a lot of you guys might be trying that out. But and I think there was some new Dragon Age DLC that came out recently. I think what I'm going to do with Dragon Age, because that is a game I do want to play, I just haven't had time to get into it. I'm just going to wait probably a couple more months or maybe till next year and just buy it. I'm going to do what I did with Mass Effect, and I'm going to basically just buy it after everything's been out and just get it for like $30 hopefully with all the DLC, because that's pretty much what I did with all the Mass Effect games. I think I got Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 and all the DLC. I don't even think I paid $50 for all of them put together because I got into the series so late, I was completely clueless to Mass Effect. That's the funny thing. One of my friends at work actually mentioned it to me. I think it was in like late 2013. And he was like, oh, yeah, if you play Mass Effect, I was looking for a new game to play. And he's like, if you play Mass Effect, and I'm like, what's Mass Effect? Never, I'd heard about the ending controversy with Mass Effect 3, but I just hadn't really played the game or paid attention to the game. So I got in very late and was able, actually, that was a good thing and a bad thing, is I was able to play all 3 games all the way through at the same time over the span of a couple months. And wow, what a series that was. That just, unfortunately, at the time, like I said, it was 2013, and of course we all know that was a very rough year for games. 2014 wasn't much better. 2015 so far, in my mind, has not been that great either. We've got a couple of nice niche games that came out that were really, really amazing. But overall, like, especially for AAA titles, the last 2 or 3 years have just been crap, in my opinion. And so at that time, that's when I actually picked up the Mass Effect series. And after playing through that and just having that amazing experience in terms of the story and the narrative and the character development, and just the replay value and how many options you had for conversations and Renegade and Paragon and who are you going to romance and what conversation options are you going to pick with all these different characters. Wow, after playing that game, like, my head was just spinning. I was like, that was like one of the most incredible gaming experiences I think I've ever had. And then, of course, at the time of the gaming market, it was like, I've really yet to find anything that's come close to that since. And of course, actually, the next big game after that was Destiny, so it was just destined to be a letdown from the get-go. And then especially when it released with so little content and absolutely no story or character development. So yeah, Mass Effect, the story of how it ruined my expectations for like every video game that's come out ever since I played it, is pretty much what I could do a whole video on that, because that game series has unfortunately ruined me on a lot of other games. It's like when I pick up a game now, I expect to have character development, I expect to have great story and replay and really good DLC, and yeah, that's not really the norm anymore. But anyways, guys, that's it. I don't want to get on another ramble here. You guys probably put up with me long enough here. I've been talking for too long, so I hope you guys are all having a great day. Hope you guys are ready for a good weekend. Stay tuned here. I'll keep you guys updated on what's going on with the moving and content that's coming up and everything. And that's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you guys, like I said, having a great day. Thank you guys always for watching, as usual. And I will see you again next time.
The cargo doors are triggered to close automatically. So hurry up!
Shit in my breakfast. Everybody hang on!